Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the weekly comic book roundup. Anyway, we actually haven't had any content in the last week. That's not to say that the comic book roundup will be all we're going to be doing from here on out, but we will be getting back to content, to additional content in the in the future, and it'll be the near future, not like near-ish, but near, fairly near. Anyway, so let's get started with this week's X books as well as this week's Spider-Man book. Kicking things off with Cable number 10. Where we left off, Cable discovered that his nemesis, his clone and nemesis Strife, was alive and in the present, and was manipulating the present, and was in fact a mastermind behind the kidnapping of mutant babies from the beginning of the series, and was apparently trying to replace Kid Cable with a clone of himself, potentially speaking a clone Strife. But so yeah, Cable is trying to figure out what to do about Strife, and not exactly having the best time tracking down leads either. Also, he's trying to do everything himself. So, the issue begins. So, in this issue, Cable's trying to figure out what to do about Strife. And he kind of gets the feeling that maybe he needs his older self to be more active again, as Kid Cable did kill his older self during the extermination crossover a few years ago. But the issue starts with Cable trying to knock out Xavier so he can borrow Cerebro and bring back old Cable. But he's caught by Emma, and Emma reminds him that, he is the son of, the great commander of Krakoa. Maybe he might try, talking to his dad. And also informing that, Esme Cuckoo, who Kid Cable has kind of sort of been seeing, not too happy with him at the moment. But Cable catches up with Cyclops while Cyclops is being fitted for his outfit for the Hellfire Gala. And, Cyclops wants Cable's help dealing with a couple of Iraqi mutants who have taken a liking to London's pubs. Cyclops and Cable fight off the two Iraqi mutants. Takes a little bit of doing, but they're able to knock them out and then take them back to Araco. But and Cyclops is trying to get Cable to join the X-Men, but Cable is kind of thinking that maybe he needs to go back into the future so he can take care of Strife in the future and nip him in the bud. And Cyclops does not want to see the older version of Cable brought back. I think what part of that boiling down to, Cyclops kind of likes, having his son being, young. But there's a write-up about the casket protocols, which includes the fact that while classically Cable used to utilize an AI called Professor, which was housed in his space station Grey Malkin, but distributed as well into Cable, well, mainly his cybernetics, as well as all of his safe houses. However, it's possible that Apocalypse might have corrupted the professors. So, Cable put together an AI by himself called Bell, which is waiting for watching Kid Cable's movements and also and waiting for Kid Cable to show back up on Grey Malkin. In the backup story, the old man has been captured, and perhaps the old man is truly an older version of the Krakoan Cable because he has the light of Galador, which he utilizes and turn the tables on his captors. And that is where the issue ends. It's to the best I think. Actually, the Cable the series is actually on its last legs. I hope it's on its last legs in more of a. It's going to be ending because this is the story they wanted to tell with it. Not nobody's buying the damn book, so wrap it up. Anyway, moving on, we've got New Mutants number 17. We have a few things going on in New Mutants. Opinion on Cable. I've mentioned that it's seemingly ending. This is actually an issue I've kind of been having with the Cable book for a while, is that there's a certain expectation that comes with stories that focus on Cable. Action-packed, I'm not saying, make sure he's got covered in pouches and toting around 3 different 90s guns. But, yeah, I don't know. It's not a bad book. It just doesn't entirely feel right, and I don't know. That said, I enjoy the fact they're referring to the original to Cable that everyone knew and loved as the Old Man, and everyone still refers to the younger Cable as Kid Cable. You got Kid Cable, Old Man Logan, which would totally be a team up book I would read. Anyway, so yeah, it's not a bad issue. Maybe I'm just jaded because the title's coming to an end, and I don't like the fact that once that Cable is just going to be back, either gone or who knows. But yeah, anyways, moving on, we got New Mutants number 17. So what's been going on here? We've got Karma and Mirage are in other worlds searching for a missing mutant. They made a deal with Jamie Braddock and ended up getting captured by Merlin. Some of the students are working on power synergies. Some of the younger mutants are working on power synergies with each other, and to a degree, the Shadow King is also working with them. Wolfsbane, in the meantime, is also trying to figure out why what the deal is with her son. He can't be resurrected, but the Five are saying that apparently they can't resurrect him because he's not dead, but she saw him die. So, what's going on there? So the issue begins. Shadow King comes to Wolfsbane and actually offers her comfort. It's the first few issues of this art. The first few parts of this arc really kind of made me, it gave a very clear vibe that Shadow King's our bad guy for the arc, but here he's not a villain, and I'm thinking I'm kind of thinking that the first few issues kind of saying yes, Shadow King bad was kind of a misdirect. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's just kind of yeah. I'm much more open to villain is now good than you know some comic readers, especially with the Age of Krakoa. But it's just when the story really does kind of read in a no villain's still villain kind of way, and then suddenly it's or maybe not. Yeah, yeah, but she explains that but Shadow King basically talks about his past to Rain, and also says, hey, your the loss of your child is what is causing you grief, and I approach every second on this island, you probably feel that grief. So, but and he explains that there are some of the children need similar help, and he tries to he basically suggests, hey, okay, you're a mother who has, at least for now, lost her child. Well, these are children who need the help who need help. Maybe the mother should help the children. So yeah. Meanwhile, we've got the otherworld adventures of Karma and Mirage, as they undertake a mission from Merlin to steal something from his daughter Roma, from Lady Roma and Roma Regina. So they break into the castle, make their way through the guards. They put up a creature to keep a large portion of the guards busy. The group of students are experimenting with moving their consciousnesses elsewhere. Current, however, and they try it. They put Rain Boy in a flower, but he explains it was weird. But he, says you didn't do anything though. But Rain Boy was like, yeah, but I felt stuff. The sun and Ole's skin, and maybe pain from where he'd been plucked. But Cosmos suggests maybe he didn't move because flowers can't really move. But and Nole claims that regular physics don't apply to mutants, but Rainbow said, the flower wasn't a mutant. But he, apparently he was still trying to photosynthesize, even though the flower was technically dead. So Rainbow suggests, what if they tried with an inanimate body? Maybe they'd be able to move. So we find back with Mirage and Karma, the item in question is a pot, but Lady Roma catches him trying to take it. They explain what's going on, and they make the necessary threats. Say, hey, you mess with us, you're messing with the X-Men as a whole. But Roma is impressed with them, and honestly explains the pot in question. She took it on a whim on her way out because it would piss off her dad. But basically, they now owe her a favor, which, when asked, they must answer like that immediately. But it turns out the idea that Onola has when it comes to the inanimate body is go to the body farm by the boneyard. and see if maybe that will work. But he brings us up to Scout, who says, taking over the bodies of others without their consent, even if they're not using that body, is kind of wrong. But the two of them have a further argument before Inoue storms out. Back with Karma and Mirage, they find the missing mutant in Sebelith, the Kingdom of Blood and Darkness, making a deal to check out the historical archives in Sebelith. And it turns out, and this mutant Josh explains tells his tale, and he's Krakoa's nice and all, but he doesn't feel like he's really living when he's there, and this time that he's been spending in Otherworld is the first time in a while he's ever truly felt like he was living. But a deal is made. He'll check in on with Krakoa for once a month. And he's gonna map Otherworld though. Plus, he's got a way to make a pocket portal, so But it's agreed that he'll do this, and if there's a problem, hey, he's got a way home. So we also get a journal entry from Warpath. Number 3 poses 2 questions. First would be, or 2 writing prompts. First one is, write down all the compliments you can remember that you've received. Which Warpath explains that he's received many compliments over his years, but recounting all of them isn't really useful. But there's something he goes back to in his mind, and those are the following: Domino telling him that he fills out his uniform well. It's a vain joy, but it does make him feel good. Wolverine telling him that of all the people who threw him in a fastball special, Warpath was the most mindful of his body, and that Warpath could toss him any time. And Silver Samurai once told Warpath that he enjoys Warpath's knife work. Then there was some writing about something that's frustrating him. Warlock is avoiding Cypher, and is instead following others around and imitating the way they move, look, and sometimes speak. It's not mocking people. He has a well-developed sense of humor. It is most at his own expense. He's not the kind of being that finds fun in cruelty. It reminds him of a child trying to find their own identity through play. And it's just kind of more than anything, it's frustrating that he can't do anything. He feels he can't do anything to help Warpath because he's the kind of person. Warpath's the kind of person that, confronts problems, but maybe confrontation isn't what's going to help Warlock. So it's frustrating. But back on Krakoa at the Sextant, we learned that the bunny that Karma and Mirage followed throughout Otherworld was, in some ways, an essence of Karma's brother. But Karma has realized what it is she needs. And it's something she can't do alone. And so she tells Mirage is she needs Danny to be her partner in the Crucible. And that is where the issue ends. Not a bad issue. I guess I hope that those first few issues with Shadow King were kind of a fake out, because I don't know, that's one of the things I'm loving about modern X-Men books is the reforming of evil mutants. Exodus has actually really been sidelined a lot. He teaches the children, but at the same time, it's just like, this is a guy who tried to be the vanguard on multiple occasions of actual world domination, and now he's teaching children. It seems right. So yeah, seeing things like that has been interesting, and it would. The Shadow King is, one of the most messed up ex villains there is. If he can be reformed, I mean, that's just kind of a, if that's insane, in a good insane. So, but yeah, as always, though, I mean, the book's really strong, and I find myself constantly looking forward to it. So I'm curious to see how Mirage is going to react to being asked to kill one of her oldest friends. After all, in the previous issue, Cosmar asked Danny to kill her in Crucible, and Danny refused. So we'll just have to see in a month. Which brings us to our last X book of the week, X-Men Legends #3. Now, neat thing about X-Men Legends is that, from the looks of things, it's going to be every 2 issues we get a new story. Also, variant cover. I'm really digging these action figure covers. I'm going to be making a point to get all of them. Well, when I can, which I try to make sure I can every week or every month. But the first 2 issues dealt with the origin of Adam X, the X-Treme, and even had a way of basically saying, okay, so yeah, this happened, but here's why nobody ever brought it up in the intervening years. Mind wipes. Now we have Louise and Walter Simonson returning to X Factor. It's explained that the issue takes place before the events of X Factor 43. We get a flashback with the death of Cameron Hodge at the hands of Archangel. Well, I say death. The decapitation. He was He was already a cyborg, and so the way his head was severed from his cybernetic body, it survived. Also, deal with a demon for immortality. The remains of were found by Apocalypse, however, and well, yeah. So, X-Factor's having some downtime, discussing various things, shortly after the events of Inferno. But they're talking about various things. Jean, has got even more going on her. She's got the Phoenix memories. She's got Madeline Pryor's memories. So yeah, it's kind of a full house up here. But Beast and Iceman have taken the kids to the movies or dropped them off at the movies. Wolverine will pick them up and take them to the mansion. But Beast and Iceman are returning, and their vehicle that was made from pieces of ship loses control and tries to crash into ship and kill Beast and Iceman in the process. But so yeah, heard that ship is shifting, and ship explains that it's happened before, but various it was prevented. Of course, all this is being observed by Apocalypse, Caliban, and Hodge. And Hodge makes a deal with Apocalypse for a new body. A new robot body, which will be used to take down X Factor. Then, but yeah, X Factor is still trying to do what they can to help to save Baby Nathan, and who is trapped within Ship, and to help Ship. But they find one of her brain hubs. Her consciousness is spread out throughout the ship, and there are hubs. There are various brain hubs. But one of the brain hubs is destroyed, which does seem to save the day. But the cybernetic body for Hodge is sent out, and Hodge makes his demands for a new body to be grown by to be made for him by Apocalypse, which will be basically human, but still with all the weapons and accoutrements he had in his previous cybernetic one. And then Apocalypse teleports the Hodge in his current robot body, the giant mech, to face X Factor, which is where the issue ends. So yeah, I'm really digging this. Digging this. And I like the fact we're getting just kind of like, these 2-issue arcs that take place in different time periods of the X-Men continuity. I'm especially loving when they can get creators from those eras back. The last one was written by Fabian Nicieza, and it was drawn by artist Brett Booth, who was kind of big in the 90s. This current one is written by Louise Simonson and drawn by Walter Simonson. Yeah. Who were the creative team on X Factor largely for quite some time before Peter David took over. And the next arc looks to actually feature another X Factor lineup, this being the initial Peter David lineup, in and set between the early days of their time together. Sadly, it will not feature the artwork of either Jay Lee or Larry Stroman or even Joe Quesada. But hey, you work with what you get, and Todd Naeg is not a bad alternative. So yeah. It's also kind of interesting to see something I've been noticing lately. Reading some of the older trades, omnibuses, is how comics were written in certain eras, and it's interesting to see basic stuff that's set that is supposed to take place between comics from 30 plus years, 20 to 30 years ago, but written in a way more comparable to how comics are written today, with more modern attitudes being taken into account. Anyway, moving on. Last book for the video, we've got Miles Morales Spider-Man number 25, the beginning of the Clone Saga. Now, Clone Sagas, when it comes to Spider-Man, are a bit of a mixed bag. Also, this is a wraparound cover, so I figure I'll let you guys see the whole little thing. Yeah. Alright, so a while back, Miles Morales was kidnapped by the Assessor, who tested him, and eventually even made a clone of him. The clone he made ended up being what Miles' Uncle Aaron referred to as a burner. It was short-term, not designed for long-term use. However, last issue, upon returning home from swinging around and being Spider-Man, Spider-Man is being accused of Spider-Man in a red and black costume has been caught on video committing various criminal acts, including kidnapping. But the video clearly shows it to be video. All the videos clearly show Miles, but it wasn't Miles. So who was it? So picks up right where the last issue left off. Anyway, and then Genki shows up wanting to talk to Miles. They discuss what's going on. Go up to his room to try and figure out what's up with it. Genki is there because he wants to tell Miles something, though. It has nothing to do with this clone, but rather the fact that Genki and Barbara, Miles' ex-girlfriend, are seeing each other now, which makes Miles really mad. But I'll give Miles the benefit of the doubt here that he's just kind of having the whole clone stuff is really getting to, and I would guess that he still has some PTSD from his time being held by the assessor, and he's not processing. He hasn't really processed it. But so they figure out where the clones will strike next, and Miles is too late. A couple scientists are injured and terrified when Miles arrives. Things are only complicated by the arrival of Spider-Man, the Queen's Spider-Man, not the Brooklyn Spider-Man. So Peter and Miles duke it out, and then finally Miles is able to convince Peter, hey, it's really me, okay? I didn't do this. Someone else did, looking like me. And so, yeah, of course, Peter's like, oh God, clones. Yeah. Oh, you get your own Clone Saga now, kiddo. Oh, I don't envy you this. Let's just hope that Norman Osborn isn't involved. Oh, okay, he doesn't say all that, but yeah. So they tracked clones, and again, Miles is really mad, which he should be. He definitely should be mad. But Peter tries to calm him down, saying, "Hey, Spider-Man don't hit people or clones who are tied up." And he kind of says, but Miles is like, "You don't know how to have your face stolen." And before Peter can say, "Kid, you have no clue what I've been through when it comes to clones," the spider senses both go off and they're attacked. The gas that they're hit with does a number on Peter, but doesn't do much to Miles. So Miles is able to track the clones and comes upon the fact that there are more than one. This is going to be I think we're in for something much more along the lines of the Ultimate Clone Saga. The Clone Saga and Ultimate Spider-Man was actually a really well done story. Whereas the original Clone Saga was long and drawn out because, people are buying this, we should keep it going as long as we possibly can. The Ultimate Clone Saga was, kind of we're going to do the Clone Saga. The collective groan from the comics community was like, oh boy, we're not adding to this, okay? How many issues is this going to take? It's like 7 issues long. And it was just 7 issues. There was Fallout, yes. Fallout, which was explained, in the transitionary period from one story to the next. But yeah. Finally, we've got ourselves a backup story called Big Time Buzzkill. But Miles is on his way to a party. He's got a birthday cake for his friend, but he's attacked by a villain, the Bumbler, bee-themed. He's got a bee guy with, he ethically sources his honey. But yeah, Miles fights him off. However, the cake that he got for his friend is ruined. But after Miles defeats the Bumbler, like, you know what? You're going to have to do... You destroyed the cake. You're going to have to do me a favor. So he shows up to the party. So the cake, though, is that what's called an It's called a honey bomb. Or called honey bombs. It's artisanal and locally sourced from an up-and-coming apiculturist. And the Bumbler walks off with the remains of the cake and, kind of looks at the frosting like, that actually is pretty good. But that is where the issue ends. The backup story, I mean, yeah, it was literally for the fact that it's issue 25, and that's cool and all, but, I feel like more could have been gone into with the Clone Saga itself. For when you're taking a stab at something that is this big of a deal in the Spider-Man books. I mean, The Clone Saga is one of the most well-known Spider-Man stories. Also, probably one of the most reviled. I think probably one of the few that's thought of worse than the Clone Saga is probably Sin's Past, I believe. That horrible, horrible, gross story where we learn that Norman Osborn and Gwen Stacy had a thing and kids. Yeah. And it's still a thing that happened too. Ah, it couldn't have been wiped away from continuity. Ugh. Sort of gross. Anyway, that's it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off, saying live long and rock hard.